Okay, right. And we're off. So hello everyone and welcome to Series 2, Episode 3 of my Instagram Live interview series. So tonight I am interviewing someone like-minded with me in the sense of we both share the same not so much interest, but we are both into the same country of research. I know I'm doing this intro bad, so you'll have to do better than I am. So tonight I am going live with Shannon from Oracle Genealogy. There's a lot to be desired, and we're off. Hello, Shannon.
Hello, Daniel.
Well, my techie skills mightn't be that bad, so I was able to get you in, so that's the main part. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm I'm fine. I'm just glad it's the weekend at
Yeah.
this point. I just do like a little victory dance every time I hit Friday. This Friday.
Okay.
It's like I can take a break from school for the next 2 days, so that's all I care about. So I figure I might as well let you start off by you introducing yourself to everyone.
But so my name's Shannon, and I've been doing genealogies since I was 16. And last year, you probably know, most of you probably know me better on social media as Oracle Genealogy, which I started nearly 2 years ago now. So now I obviously do research for clients and what have you as well.
Fine. And so obviously you got started in genealogy when you were 16. What got you into it?
It actually started when my dad was clearing out just a box of things, and he then brought out there were 31 discharge certificates for this merchant seaman called John Cobain, and dad said to me, "Oh, that's my great grandfather, his great grandfather, my great great grandfather." And initially, it was about wanting to know more about his career in the Merchant Navy. But then, of course, I started to ponder more questions. Who did he marry? Who were his parents? What many children did he have? And it pretty much snowballed from there. uh, so it did. So it's a fairly big tree now. It's safe to say. It's safe to say.
Fair enough. Now, obviously, as you would have been researching, you would have come across quite a variety of documents and sources. But is there one you found more helpful than another?
I have to say that I love newspaper articles, like not just obituaries, which are can be a gold mine for information, but it's other little details. Like, for example, my fourth great grandfather had a 79-acre cattle farm, but it was thanks to little bits in the newspapers that I was able to learn that he actually won prizes for the butter that he made on his farm, and he was even winning prizes for his cattle, and there's even adverts for if you're selling any of his horses as well. So even though it was only just a little bit in the paper,
Yeah,
it was just another little detail, to the story. So
definitely.
yeah,
That is interesting. Like the fact that you just it's little details that can be so like the bits that you like see, like not so like if it was a big scandalous thing, but you just like see
yeah,
the little column in the bottom right hand corner of the page, and that could be what you're after. It's just the little
yeah.
bits that you look at.
Mm. Oh yeah,
So obviously, like you said, you're a genealogist running a business, but is there like any other? I think I know one, but I'm not 100% sure. Is there like any projects or ventures that you're currently pursuing?
Uh, I do have the groundwork. I do have the groundwork laid for one place study, which I do intend to write about soon. And of course, I've got research for other clients, and of course, there was the one I think I mentioned to you yesterday, where it's still in the early stages, but I do hope to be able to offer clients the ability to put their family history onto an app, and then the app will then sort of geo map it and use certain points of interest. So fingers crossed it it goes to plan, but it's still like in the very early stages. But I do think it could be something that certainly maybe in the wider genealogy community, it could be I think it could be useful.
That did sound interesting, especially when you mentioned to me yesterday.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
I know you could argue that Ancestry does it, but especially for me, I found that now for any of you watching, I do not have any like problem with Ancestry. It's just with the geo mapping, especially when it's like at the life story and they give you like a map of where all the events happened.
mm-hmm.
Is when I'm not sure of a place, I sometimes leave it as Mayo, Ireland, so County Mayo, Ireland, but
Yeah,
it then also corrects itself to Mayo, Leitrim, Ireland. So it sticks every other one that it
yeah,
doesn't recognise into Leitrim. So it doesn't help in the slightest, especially when you're
no,
trying to show something fairly accurate. But I mean, maybe it's just a case of I didn't put it in right or something. Who knows? Um, you could well have. So obviously, you've been going a while with research. Is there anything that you learned now that you wish you knew when you started?
to certainly to always try and even just write down if I find something on, say, a site or a local archive that's not necessarily one of the big names, like Ancestry and what have you, just to even just write it, right? I do it more regularly now, but at the beginning, I certainly wish I would have just even just wrote down, where I'd find like a certain document, uh,
Yeah,
or something like that. Definitely, yes.
fair enough. Yeah, that is something that probably could have helped me. I
Yeah.
think at the start. So what is there a certain now? I think I know the answer to this one as well, but I'm not again not 100% sure. I could be proved wrong. Is there any aspect of genealogy that you like the most? So like looking at old photos, looking at the actual records, or finding mentions of ancestors in newspapers, or just hearing the stories?
You know me too well, Daniel. But certainly, I am a sucker for an heirloom or an object that's connected with a family member. I think I've got about four big boxes now of like of different, like whether it's books or like I think I've got an Italian bayonet as well. Yes, my grandfather kept that in his attic, and I never noticed. I never knew until like after he passed away.
Wow.
um, oh yeah, and then I think I ended up with another one because I was showing the Bennett to my other grandfather, and he's still alive. And then, of course, not to be outdone, he then went upstairs and came back down with one of his own. And I was like, where have you been keeping that all these years?
Yeah, you would wonder after a while, wouldn't you?
Yeah, yeah. Or even I think I've got right now next. I think. Even now, I'm actually wearing my great grandfather's watch chain. Uh,
Wow.
yeah. So obviously, he didn't wear. Obviously, he didn't wear it around his neck, but that was his watch chain. So I sort of went, no, it's just just a little bit piece of jewelry. But I suppose it's a little bit of history that sort of goes around with me every day, as it were.
Yeah, like that is interesting, especially because obviously I was on one of your episodes talking
Yeah.
about heirlooms, and like it was just kind of sometimes you need something from the past, like an heirloom, like you had, to interest people, because it might necessarily just be like all records and photos and everything, but sometimes the heirlooms do give that extra kind of added oomph, if you will, with like interest, especially when trying to get younger people into it. Like if you kind of say this is like, and just as an off-topic question, when would you say that watch chain? How old would you think it'd be, roughly?
I would say probably, I would guess maybe between maybe 50 or 60 years old, like that. Just as a guess, I'm presuming he got it probably in
Because
the 1940s or
kind of
1950s.
say you could, say that to a younger person and kind of say, this is something that your, I don't know, grandfather or something had, picking
Yeah,
things out here, that he had in his possession, 60, 70 years ago, whatever. And then they might kind of go like, wow, what else can I find?
oh yeah.
So that is kind of an interesting aspect of it to me, I think.
Oh yeah, totally. And it's especially even today when I'm finding like obviously coming across new things. Like it's got so bad to the point where I'm actually even going through eBay to see, like, because as somebody could somebody actually be selling? Because I've heard it off a podcast I listened to, and they actually suggested having certain search terms on something like eBay, and you never
Mm.
know, you might find something. And I think I did post them, and I actually did get a guidebook off eBay that my third great uncle had written. So
No,
I thought, well, I think I might have that. uh, so yeah,
you're buying all kinds of memorabilia off of eBay before you know it.
oh yes, oh yeah, yes,
Oh,
yes, yeah, yeah.
uh, like I don't know if I'd find anything on eBay because, like, I don't know, like the people to have, uh, so like stuff that might find its way on eBay, like it would just kind of stay in the family. Typically, if it would, it wouldn't really, be sold off or pawned off or whatever or anything else. I don't know. So if you're comfortable saying this, by all means, go for it. If you're not, worry about it. But what would be an
I think you're cutting out a wee bit, Daniel.
Oh yeah, been cutting out all day on things. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think you cut out again, Daniel.
I'll just see. So this is. Um, can you see and hear me? Okay. Technical issues. Uh,
Uh,
um, I don't know if you can hear me or not. And if anyone
yeah,
watching can
well,
me, because um, this isn't ideal, is it? Right, try again. So in the comments box. It doesn't seem to work any other way.
I think, were you trying to ask me about an interesting story or event?
Well, there. Hopefully that's that question.
Well, I think I did one, and I love this tale just because of having the sheer nerve to actually do it. But it's about my great grandmother, Mary McGaffin. She was about 81 or 82 at this point, and she knew that the house she was living in, a big 3-4 bedroom house, and she knew it wasn't suitable for her. She was widowed, children were very much grown up and moved out. And she decided that there was a little like pensioner bungalow that she picked out, and it's about 200 yards from where her daughter lived, and she thought that'll do the place for me. And now, whatever scheme her and her husband had taken off, it meant that she owned her council house. And I think that had a factor in it, but they wouldn't give her the bungalow. So, after a while, my dad and some of her other grandchildren start getting these checks from their grandmother in the post. And my dad's like, what's going on? So he then phones my grandfather saying, this is it, your mother's finally, taking leave of her senses or something. And it then transpired that Mary McGaffin had sold her council house and left everything that was in it in the house. She gave away every penny that she had to her grandchildren and what have you, and just simply went into the estate agent saying that I have no money, I have no home, can I have a house? And she got the bungalow that very day.
I will admit, I was wondering where you were going with that. Look, I suppose there's one way of doing it.
Honestly,
they're probably going like, here's the money back. Here, seeing as you have your house now, you can have it back. Oh boy, that's a different story.
I just love that particular one, just because she had the sheer nerve to actually do something like that. Like,
yeah.
And like she was like this hot, she was the sort of woman that she took no prisoners, nothing fazed her. Like, she was as hard as nails. Like, but nothing. Honestly, even when I heard it for the first time, I was like, say what? Because even I think there was another tale when somebody, I think she's in her 70s, but like somebody like actually came to visit her, I think to tell them, like, I think I don't know whether it's to give them like a piece of their mind or what have you, but she was like in her 70s and up a ladder, cleaning the drains of her house. Like she never stopped, and she just nothing, no task really was
too small or too big.
Yes. And her maiden name was Shannon. So that's where I get my that's where I get my name from. Yeah.
Fair enough. Just looking at the comments coming in, that story's gone down very well.
I can't actually see You can't actually
Oh,
see
can't you? All right. I actually thought the other person could. Well, you have one comment coming in saying that's hilarious, and another one saying great story. So,
Oh, there, look.
that's gone
Oh.
down. So, what does genealogy mean to you?
it's it's my life. Like, and even today, I think, how on earth, how on earth was I just go getting by without it? Like, now even if obviously before all the restrictions of not having, but even whenever I would go away, say in holiday for a week, and then by the end of the week, I would actually start to get restless, and I'd be like, I really gotta go do this. I've got to do some genealogy, and it's just, it's my life really, is pretty much. So it is, like 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's all it's pretty much all I do.
Fair enough. I can tell you're very devoted, according to that account. I mean,
Yeah.
just an inkling, nothing huge. So, for anyone watching, I'm nearly the end of my questions. So, if anyone has any questions they'd like to ask Shannon before I wrap this up, please stick them in now. So, yeah, comment just came in. That good old genealogy addiction. Yes, it's not the worst one to have. Not the worst at all. Although it could get a bit mad if you do end up buying a load of birth certs from the GRO. But only when you get to that level, I think it only gets very serious. And I'm not any doctor. So so like you said, you started at the age of 16. So obviously you would have learned, you would kind of would have, I'm assuming like me, starting at 13, you would have, even now I do, a little, you would have felt a little isolated. Do you know, kind of in that interest, so like, it was just you interested in genealogy.
Like certainly when I first started, I was pretty much the only one out of the group that I went around with that enjoyed my books and my history. Everyone else enjoyed their health and social care and sciences and things like that. So certainly, I was certainly on my own in that regard. And even whenever I
Yeah.
would talk about my family history, it never seemed to sort of create any interest. And I'm like, why would you not find this interesting?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and certainly, I know you've talked about this. When you started out, there certainly wasn't
Yeah.
anything out there that was specifically for a young genealogist. Like certainly not whenever I first started out. Anyway,
Yeah. Because I was going to ask, what advice would you give to a young person starting out?
certainly I would certainly assume nothing. Uh, and it's certainly then I know it's one of those basic principles, but certainly like always like just always question, like certainly it's even like say for example say the store what your grandparents might tell you, always just like assume that always question like everything that that you find, because I certainly find that a certain generation has heard stories from and like the generation before them, and then you wonder then how much has been passed down, and obviously a version of a story would obviously change as it goes down the
Chinese
generation.
whisper, essentially.
Yes, yeah, pretty much, yeah. and and again, I think as I said earlier, just and always like write down where you find obviously your documents and what have you um, as well. Uh, certainly that would be my advice, and certainly like the conversation that certainly you've been talking about. I think that it's certainly all too easy to associate genealogy as being something that's something for those of a certain age. Not that whenever I first started, those that were sort of keeping me on the right path were of a certain age, but of course they'd been doing it for a lot longer than I had. But I think I have been sort of trying to say for a long time, but I think you've sort of got the ball rolling. I think we do need to encourage sort of more younger people, certainly like you, to I think get involved with genealogy, because even whenever it was sort of two friends of mine that were sort of similar age to me, and when I started to actually introduce them to like their own family histories, then they actually, actually thought this was great. So I think, it's just trying to, I think, I'm not sure what quite way, I think once you get a taste for it, as you know, like, then I think that, then you're hooked.
Yeah.
You know,
That tells me how it starts.
yeah. I certainly, like, you would know it, and certainly I know.
Yeah.
Certainly I know it, as well. Like, um, yeah, I think that would be certainly my answer to that question. I think.
Yeah. Now, obviously, like you said, when you were starting out, you didn't kind of feel like there was many kind of things for young genealogists to do or to look at or anything. But do you think that has changed much? Like since then, since you started, do you think there's many like organizations like the Hidden Branch, per se, or something to like get young people interested and get going, kind of?
Certainly, I think it's got. I think certainly with all the work that you and the Hidden Branch have been doing, I certainly think it's starting to get better. Um, you know, for certainly young um genealogists, and I think that this is only the beginning. I do think that as the years go on, I do think that it will get, I think it will get better. And because obviously, the next generation is obviously going to, I suppose, eventually at some point sit in the driving seat,
Hmm.
as it were. But certainly, I think, especially if you all keep going with the Hidden Branch and what have you, I certainly think that it will get better,
Hmm.
as it were.
Yeah. Relating to the story that you sent, another comment came in saying perhaps it calms you to be researching your ancestors.
Perhaps
It calms you. It relaxes you.
certainly, yeah, certainly, there's nothing like whiling away a few hours researching, especially if I want to just, a bit of escapism, just go just go delving into another world that isn't the
Hmm.
current one, as it were.
Yeah.
Yeah, certainly it's a bit of escapism. Well, for me anyway, it is.
Another one came in. A question came in saying, which records specifically inspire you to research your family history?
Ooh, good question. Um, certainly, uh, certainly, I will always say that the first records that I was presented with, those discharge uh, certificates, I suppose, for me, that it was the thing that lit the fuse, um, as it were. And again, I said I love a newspaper article, um, and I do, and I especially, and recently, I've actually got a liking for probate records in South Africa, especially in South Africa, which I have to say are the most detailed documents that I've ever seen in my life, because they'll name, like, the parents, they'll name all their children, they'll put the dates of birth of the children, and if they've got grandchildren, they'll put them on too.
I could use with a bit of that, I will admit.
Oh, if only.
An awful lot of gaps.
If only. Not that I do enjoy probate records here too, as well, but it's only because I think for certain clients that I've had to use them more, but there is actually a wee bit of a branch on my own tree that went out to South Africa as well. But yes, it does times it does make me wish our own probate records could do that.
Yeah, and just going back to your point when you kind of said the records listed like kids' births and grandchildren in some cases.
Yeah.
Like what I find, especially on some civil records, like some will do it more than others, but it'll list the like under the signature, qualification, and residence of informant section in a civil record. It'd be nice if it told you the relation of the informant.
I agree with you there, Daniel. There are times whenever I just wish, could you not just even say who you are rather?
Okay. Even if you are just a neighbour, just say, I'm a neighbour. Instead of you kind of going like, oh, if it was someone named, I don't know, Lally or something, and then you go look, then you go looking for a Lally and they're not even related to you.
Oh yeah, because I always remember how I was looking the death registers for it was a particular person, and honestly, whenever I seen like the informant. The informant said that they were the resident lunatic. Honestly, I guess that's what it said in the box. They wrote that they were the resident lunatic, and I'm like,
that was the informant. They didn't even name the informant. They just said that.
No, they had wrote their name, but they put like their qualification was the resident lunatic, and I'm like, really?
Oh, dear.
Yeah.
Because I know it. I was researching my dad's history up in Mayo, and I found that typically, obviously, it would either be one of the parents that may register the birth, but it had said a Bridget Kelly, and I was kind of thinking, right, I don't have any Kellys in my tree. But I do have a Bridget, and I didn't really know what happened to her. And then I just did Bridget Loftus, and just looked for all marriages for a Bridget Loftus. And I eventually found one for a Bridget Loftus and a James Kelly. And let's say it was my granddad or granduncle I saw that said Bridget Kelly. That would have been their aunt that registered the birth, but it didn't say aunt, it didn't say any relation, it just left it to you to try and work out who they were. But then again, at the time, they probably didn't expect anyone to be looking back and saying, how are you related to this one now? It was just a case of, right, stick down the name, that's registration closed, there we go. They probably didn't expect many people to go looking later on.
Oh yeah, I know what you mean, especially if the surname is as common as one like Kelly. Like, certainly I know from personal experience, like I have a great grandmother that is a Kelly, and certainly they living around like in the countryside in County Londonderry, and it's one of the most common surnames for that area. And then of course, then if the first name's a common one as well, then there's hundreds, of possibilities that you have to try and then narrow it down as to which one is the one that you're looking for.
And especially when you kind of see, like, the results on like Irish Genealogy or something, and it could say like William Smith married a Mary Smith, and then you're doomed. Or like a common name, it's just like you have two two people, same surname, you're doomed. You're not going to find their relationship at all.
Oh yeah.
It, thankfully, that hasn't happened in my family. I
Oh,
hope it doesn't. I really hope it doesn't, but could be
oh
proved
no.
wrong.
Oh no. I have a great grandmother that's was from Donegal, and I've got that like I do have that like on a few occasions, especially. It is quite common to say have two siblings from one family that then marry two siblings from another family,
Mm.
and then
That,
that's when it really starts to get um tangled up, as they say.
yeah, because that did happen to me. So my great grand uncle
Mm.
ended up marrying her. He ended up marrying his is it first cousin once removed or something. Basically, they would have been cousins.
Oh
They,
goodness.
yeah. So this is a Loftus marrying a Conlon, I think.
Okay.
But it was just no. So I think she's my second cousin, two or three times removed. One of them, or once removed. I can never get it right. And she's also my two times great granddad, or my great granddad.
Ooh.
Like what relation? Like I have these little photos I stick on the profiles because I'm sick to death at seeing like the pink and blue silhouettes on Ancestry. Again, I don't have any beef with them.
Yeah.
It's just seeing them. You just kind of go like, but I'd like to add a special color, and so I ended up kind of creating my own little graphics for the family tree. And then I was wondering what one to actually stick in. Like, do I stick in like second cousin once removed, or do I stick in two times great granddad or something? I ended up going with the second cousin once removed.
Yeah.
I may have to mangle them together, but that's another day.
Oh yeah. I think there was somewhere in my own tree where like I had a set of third cousins that then married each other, but then one of them was also my third cousin as well. So, and like, really, did you have to do this? I suppose that's the joys of oh, I suppose that's the joys of opening the can of worms, as they say.
Yeah, I think so. So I think I might wrap this up there. So thank you, Shannon, for coming on, especially on relatively short notice, because I had to make a little change, but nothing big. But thank you for coming on. You've been lovely.
Thank you.
And for anyone watching, I will announce and again, I know I keep saying I'll announce it tomorrow, but I end up announcing it Monday or Tuesday the next time. I'll announce it sometime. I'll just leave it there. Because if I say tomorrow, you'll be waiting until tomorrow and then nothing will come up. So I'll just say I'll post it up sometime. I have my little schedule over there, so I don't know who I'm doing next. So I'll see you all next week.
Okay, Daniel. Thank you.
Oh my God, I can't. There we go.